Christina Daves, PR for anyone, and I am a PR strategist. So I help mainly small businesses, small to medium size, get in the media because most small businesses can't afford or can't sustain a PR firm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what got you into the industry and what led you up to this point in your life? Tell me that. Tell me a little bit about that.
I am literally the accidental entrepreneur. So I had owned a retail store. I've always been an entrepreneur. Decided to quote unquote retire to be with my kids. And I had a freak accident. I broke my foot. I was in one of those big, ugly medical boots. And I designed a fashion line for them.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool until I was like, well, how do I let people know? Because it didn't exist before. So I thought, okay, media. Well, I'd hired a coach. That's a whole nother story. But actually, the reason I'm successful is because I hired someone who stole $24,000 from me. Yeah. So I didn't have any money left to hire a PR firm, to hire advertising. And I did it myself and I figured out publicity. And then I would go to these events and, with entrepreneurs and they're like, forget the boot. How are you doing that? Like, how did you get on TV? How did you get on the Steve Harvey Show? And that actually changed my life, was being on the Steve Harvey Show because I won his top inventor competition. Yeah, for the product. And the rest was history.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Tell me how you're getting onto all these shows, because for a little bit of a background for those who don't know, you've been on the Today Show. You interviewed the
Hoda Kotb, yeah.
her. So how are you doing all of this?
I'm asking. I've always told my kids that. I tell my clients that you're never going to know if you don't try. And if you have a strategy in place, which is what I teach my clients, you can have success. So the Steve Harvey Show was a media query site, and it said, do you have a product you want to take to the next level? And then just said parentheses, national TV. And I had applied for Shark Tank. This is season 2, and gotten all the way to the end. So I got through the producers. Then I always say, well, Mark Burnett loved me. I don't know. His team said okay. And then Sony said no, because in season 1, they had a cowboy boot product. And they didn't know that Shark Tank was going to be what it is today. So they're like, we can't have 2 back-to-back boot products. It's okay, because then I got on the Steve Harvey Show. I didn't have to split anything with anybody and won $20,000, put my company on the map. And that's really started the whole PR TV thing. Because I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like, I like this. I want to do this more. And then I started pitching myself as a lifestyle expert and featuring inventors and products and really becoming a product expert.
Absolutely. What a journey.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the inventor part too. Like, how did that come to be? Because I saw that you like to invent things.
Yeah. Well, so the fashion boot accessories. And, I thought, oh, this is easy. I owned a retail store for 11 years. I can do this. Well, it was not as easy as I thought. I went to, I designed it with, and this is really funny, I designed it with our 85-year-old seamstress in the neighborhood.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm like, Katie, we got to figure this out. How do we make this work? And it was really, really fun to work with her until we had a prototype. And I called literally every textile factory in the United States to have it made in the United States. Nobody wanted to work with me.
Whoa.
So then I went to New York to a textile show and literally had my sample, which nobody knows what it is because the product doesn't exist. And I went booth to booth, like, can you make this? Can you make this? Can you make this? And I finally found a sock manufacturer out of Philadelphia who manufactured the product for me.
Nice.
Oh.
I love how you are very persistent and you don't give up. And you said, like, you got to ask. You just got to
ask. You got to try.
I love that. I feel like that's so important because a lot of people maybe ask, and as soon as they hear maybe no, like the first 3 times, they're like, you know what, maybe this is not for me. But it just shows that persistence is key, and
Absolutely.
believing in yourself.
I tell my clients, like, look in the mirror and say no to yourself 100 times, because you might hear no 100 times, but when you get that yes, when you get Steve Harvey, when you get to interview Hoda Kotb, when you get these amazing things that happen, and now on my podcast, I've just asked some PR people for celebrities, and I'm getting yeses. Like, they're coming on my show. So I practice what I preach. You have to try.
That's amazing. Talk to me a little bit about your podcast, the name of it, and what's it about?
I'm so proud of it. It's called Living Ageless and Bold. And I launched it as I'm getting older, I'm 57.
You look great.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
But these women have incredible journeys and stories, and the next chapters, like after you turn 50, after, maybe you stayed home with your kids, maybe you worked the whole time, now you're empty nesters, hopefully you have a little bit of money socked away, that you have this whole new life ahead of you. Our generation is the most fit in history, the healthiest, wealthiest, and most fit in history. And nobody's talking to us or about us. So I said, okay, I'm going to start a podcast. So it's called Living Ageless and Bold. And I reached out to people that I knew to kind of get things going, starting the podcast. And like I said, now I'm reaching out to celebrities. I just interviewed, it hasn't dropped yet, Gabrielle Anwar, the actress who danced with Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman, like the iconic dance, but she struggles from bipolar disease. And we went through like her whole journey of, being sexually abused as a child, and then how that got her where she is, and now she's a grandmother, and this is really helping, in her transformation. So it's just, everybody has a journey and a story, and I just feel honored to be able to share it with my audience.
Yeah, absolutely. That is amazing. Good for you. And also providing some visibility for those, some advice on maybe if you're not able to overcome something, hearing somebody else's story can inspire you. That's not too late.
I say that to every one of my guests. If we can change one person, if one person is listening and is inspired by what they have to say, we've done our job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you are a PR queen, marketing queen.
Yeah.
Tell me what you are doing to get your podcast out there, all that good stuff, and maybe could you provide some insight for our listeners?
Yeah.
Some tips?
Yeah. So I practice what I preach. So we launched the podcast on Good Day DC, which was fun. I'm on there every month. That's been a process to get to that. But again, you give them a good media pitch, show up really, really well. You've got to give them good TV. And now I just can email my producer, and he knows I'm going to do a great job for him. And hey, here's my idea for this month. And okay, so I'm on next week.
Okay.
So I have a 3-step process. You want to be newsworthy, you want to create great hooks, and you want to find the right journalist. So being newsworthy, you need to be timely and relevant. Don't pitch something that they can say, we could do that later. You really want it to be relevant to the seasons or what's happening in the world. Click on Google. What are people talking about? And then a hook is your subject line. Don't just tell a journalist, here's a story idea for you. They get 500 of those a day. You've got to hook them in, give them a short and sweet pitch, and then make sure you're finding the right journalist. Don't send your business story because you get so excited that you found the fashion editor, unless you're in a fashion part of business. But it's really important to find that right person. And don't send out a press release because they don't work. And I've interviewed so many journalists. They don't read them. Don't waste your money or your time. Learn how to do this instead.
Wow, this is some good tips. Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
So when you were transitioning from inventor, and then you said you were working at a retail business, correct?
I owned a retail store before I invented the product.
Okay, yes. How did you transition from that? Because you're so easy to talk to. You're so knowledgeable. What resources do you have for other people who maybe are looking to start a podcast?
Oh, yeah. There's this great thing called Google. It's
right?
like amazing resources. I decided to do mine video and audio. I mean, you have a beautiful setup here.
Thank you.
Do mine in my basement. I use a platform called Riverside for the video part of it that we put on YouTube. But just start. But know your strengths and your weaknesses. So I love this. Like, I love to interview people, but that's all I want to do. So I have someone on my team who does the editing, and he posts everything. I drop every Wednesday. So I don't have to do anything. I just got a notification this morning. He's like, oh, Spotify had a little hiccup. I'll get it up as soon as it's fixed. I'm like, okay, perfect.
I love that. I
yeah.
love that you have like a little system going to help you.
Yeah.
That's great. And where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Like, any room for expansion? Anything new coming in the works?
I ask all my guests that. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? I do. I see a much bigger platform for Living Ageless and Bold. I think it's really important that these women get to share their stories. I mentor students at Virginia Tech, and when they hear my story, they'll come up to me afterwards or send me emails and they're like, oh, I'm not washed up because I didn't get the first job. At 21 or 22, there's so much pressure on these young women. And when they can realize you can start all over again in your 50s. They're like, wait, so since I've been 50, I launched the podcast. I became a regular lifestyle expert on TV. I became a QVC guest host. Like in my 50s, I'm like, oh, so 60s, who knows, what's possible. But I really see the podcast as just being a much bigger platform to just inspire women all over the world about what's possible.
No, yeah, you're inspiring me right now because I feel that pressure sometimes where I'm like, man, I'm 30 and I feel like I haven't accomplished this or that. So I think that's so great that you're doing that and giving people like that inspiration, because sometimes it does feel a little bit heavy out there.
Yeah, I have a 24-year-old daughter. I know, and I feel especially for women, there's just so much pressure to do it all. You're supposed to get married, have kids, have a perfect career, have a perfect house, do all these things. It's hard. And know it's hard, and nobody's perfect at it. So, and just know that if you had told me in my 40s that I would be speaking on stages with thousands of people and on TV, I would have been like, you are absolutely crazy. Like, there is no way this is going to happen. So you just don't know what's possible.
Love that you're using your platform for this. Go you.
Yeah.
All right. And now talk to me about your book.
Yeah. So I wrote a book to help people get in the media. Again, super simple process. It explains the 3-step process. It's the DIY guide to free publicity. And there's 125 plus tips. So you can flip through the book and say, oh, I can do this. Or, oh, I don't want to be on TV. I would rather be on podcasts or on radio. Well, find that tip. And it tells you exactly what to do step by step just to get started.
Absolutely. Can you show us the book? I think we have it right down
yeah,
here if you
yeah.
want to show us.
Oh, did you put it?
Yeah,
oh,
I did.
Well, it's in a secret place. Here you go.
Ta-da.
There it is. So yeah, and there's the formula right here. It works. We have over 1 billion views and over $100 million in sales from free publicity using the system.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you hear that, folks?
Yeah, use it. Do it.
Where can people get this book?
Everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Go to my website. It's available everywhere.
Perfect. And what was the process like getting a book out? I know a lot of people have a lot of aspirations of making books.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how that journey has been.
Yeah, and it's so different now. I wish we had AI when I wrote this book. I had kids, I had teenagers. So we had hockey and volleyball and lacrosse. And I would come home at night and I would write and write and write and write and then edit and write. And I knew I wanted it to be simple, the tips. And it's funny because when I got it, I was so excited. The box came from the publisher and my son's like, oh, is that what you were doing when I came home, like at curfew when you were still there writing? I'm like, yes, I was writing my book. Exactly. But again, women, we do what we have to do to get it done. And but now with AI, oh my gosh, you can, or which I learned after I wrote the book, you can record into your phone. So if you have a book in you and maybe you're not a writer, but you can speak it into your phone. And now you can speak it into your phone and put it into AI and say, here's my book, make it perfect. And AI can do that for you.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that you're using your sources.
Yeah.
Work harder, not smarter, y'all.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And so who are you when you're not out there doing public speaking, when you're not interviewing people? What do you like to do to unwind? What are some of your hobbies?
It's really funny that you said that. I have a dear friend who just lost her husband, and she doesn't have a hobby either. We're like, we don't have any hobbies. Like, what can we do? Like, let's figure something out. I just played pickleball for the first time.
Hey, that's a hobby.
That's right. I like that. We're huge tailgaters at Virginia Tech, like big Virginia Tech people. So that occupies my entire fall. We're big hockey fans. I like sports. Can sports be a hobby?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I like wine. I like to wind down at night with that.
Yeah.
But I love what I do. So it's hard for me to wind down because I have all these big ideas that I'll sit at night on my computer and just, well, what about this? And what about this?
Type away, scheme away.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That means that you're doing your hobby is your
Maybe that
24/7, right?
Yeah.
That's your hobby, your passion.
That's it. And I guess now the hobby is the podcast. Like it really is. It's really become something I never dreamed of. And it's really good. And I see a lot of future for it.
Oh, yay. I'm excited for you. And I'm happy
you.
for you. Congratulations to that.
Thanks.
Absolutely. And now, since I have you here and we've got some listeners listening, can you maybe let me know if I've asked you anything that you want to share or...
Yeah, from the PR part, just do it. Just do it. The media is 24/7, 365. They need our stories. It's not like the old days, when you had 4 channels and 1 newspaper. They are constantly looking for content. So if you can give good content, they will love you and invite you back over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans on, I know you said that you have a little studio downstairs.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans on maybe getting your own studio and making that
I don't know. I'm looking at this studio thinking, this is really nice.
You should go for it.
Yeah.
I think you could absolutely do it. Look at our little setup. I'm sure you have your own little setup that works
I
too.
do. I do. A lot of my people are remote, though, so it's a little different. But yeah, this is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I really appreciate that. Could you provide some insights maybe on social media and how business owners who are struggling to maybe get what they're doing for their clients out there?
Yeah, you've got to not post just to post, period. You have to have a strategy. We're in Scroll Nation. We're going through our phones. You need a hook. You've got to grab people. You've got to get them to stop in their tracks to then read about, read your post, watch your video, whatever that is. I love using the imagine statement, imagine if, because people put themselves in that position. So that's great. I work with a lot of realtors, and I always tell them that. I'm like, do your posts, imagine you wake up every morning in this kitchen. Imagine pulling your turkey out of this oven and your whole family's all around the island. Get people to feel. That's the key to everything. People buy when they feel, and you need to relate. And this is so hard, and I work with so many clients on this. You think you know what they need, but you need to talk to them in what they think they need. Mm-hmm. You'll get your chance to fix them and do what you do best, but you've got to talk to them in what they think their pain point is. And that's what your social media needs to do. You need to be addressing their pain points. You need to hook them in with your solution, and then get them to start following you, and the rest will be history.
All right. And talk to me a little bit about QVC.
Yeah.
Tell me how that happened. What's going
on? Same thing. I asked. I went before COVID. I went to Westchester. I had this amazing audition. It was so good. I was like, I'm in. I wasn't in. I did not get accepted. I was so sad. Yeah, because I'm like, this is so cool and so fun. And you just don't know. I had pink nail polish on. Maybe they didn't like pink nail polish. You just have no idea. Well, then COVID hit. And I was doing so much more with online TV, from my home. And so I just applied online. And I said, I applied before, it was right before COVID. I don't know that I officially said I wasn't accepted. I just said it was right before COVID, which is true. Yeah. But I got accepted. I got the yes. And then I recently got an agent because every audition I had, I was losing to his people. I was always in second. And then, so this week, I just had a really good audition. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping that comes through.
Yay, fingers crossed for you, man.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. But again, you can't give up. You got to if it's what you want, keep trying.
All right. And so my final question is going to be, if you could leave our audience with a message or maybe a mantra that you like to live your life by, what would that be?
Yeah, and I've said it throughout, and I raised my kids with this. It's just ask. Just ask. You're never going to get anywhere if you don't ask. But I say you're not asking someone to rob a bank or do something illegal. But if you need help, find a mentor. Most people are not going to say no. There's a study out of Stanford that said people are actually more afraid to say no at the reaction of no than they are to say yes. So just ask. The worst you're going to get is no. And I've done this. I have a lot of students reach out, and I've been super busy lately, and I'm like, just reach back out in 2 weeks. I'll totally help you. I just can't do it right now. And I think most people will do that for you.
I love that. Be fearless, be bold, and believe in yourself. You can do this.
Yeah, you can do it.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. You're just like a little book of knowledge and insight. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.